Welcome to the Supplement Engineer podcast. My name is Robert Chinetsky. Today we are joined by the owner and developer of the Supplement Snoop app, Mr. Justin Hall. Thanks for being here today, Justin.
Yes, sir, man. This is going to be fun. I know we kind of talked about it before. As I kind of got into the supplement industry a couple years ago, I remember coming across one of your videos. I was like, man, that guy is someone I want to meet because I just when you would talk about certain things, the research nerd in me, I would get excited when I would hear you talk about certain, and I could tell like other people were like, yeah, all right, Robert, just, wrap it up, man. Like, but I could tell how excited you were about it. I was like, I got to meet that guy someday. So it's funny how things have sort of come full circle.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely an unabashed supplement nerd and science nerd and all of that
Sure.
stuff. So I wear that badge of honor proudly. And I'm
Absolutely.
glad I'm not the only one out in the world, so that's a good thing.
Right?
It felt
No,
lonely for a
definitely.
while.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I got your back for sure.
Awesome. So let's start there. Let's rewind a few years ago and what were you doing previously? How did you start Supplement Snoop? What gave you the idea to start it, and how'd you work that transition?
Yeah, it's funny because as I tell the story more and more to people, I realize how crazy it really is and how it didn't seem like it at the time, but as I look back on it, so a very traditional, the way I sort of, you graduate high school and then go to college, you get a job, kind of working my way down the traditional career path.
Mhm.
Um, Not really being happy about it, but you're paying the bills and you're taking care of this, you're taking care of that, and so you sort of just, you know, get that, like I said, that traditional lifestyle. But in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, I feel like I could be doing more. Like if I ever had the time, kind of one of those old stories where, yeah, if I just had the time, if I just had the time. So it was just a couple years ago. Some things is like work related, career related, started to, the economy was kind of topsy turvy, and
Mhm.
I kind of came to a crossroads where I said, if I'm ever gonna do something for myself, like I think now's the time really to do it. It's just, and I sort of like kicked around some ideas, here and there, some entrepreneurial ideas, but just, it was about all about taking that first step, and I could kind of see some things coming. I always like to plan ahead, and I'm like, it's time to really take one of these ideas and really put it into motion. So and Supplement Snoop actually really wasn't. It kind of came to me like I remember the day distinctly. I've always, worked out, always gone to the gym. Never knew what I was taking. All the pre-workouts, all I would do is just whatever so and so was taking, and whatever back in the day, you just read Muscle and Fitness, whatever ad was in there. That's what I buy because there are all these fancy graphs and charts and 9,000% increases in muscle mass, and I'm like, oh man, that's it, I'm in. So but I
Yep.
remember looking at a whey protein jug the one day. I was just standing there in my kitchen and I'm looking at the ingredients at the bottom, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, I was like, what is this stuff? Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand what, xanthan gum is and carrageenan and all this stuff. So I went and looked it up and I start doing this research because I think some part of me felt I was a little concerned. I was like, well, this stuff sounds kind of like it's not. I started getting more into my health and like really paying attention to what was going on in my body. So,
Mhm.
and I remember looking at a couple ingredients. I was like, they sound really intimidating. They sound, um, like they could be harmful, but really in reality, they were actually beneficial. So
Right.
I just got thinking, I'm like, this is just kind of this ongoing problem that you walk into a vitamin shop or something like that, and you're overwhelmed with all these products, and there's not enough easy information out there to make a good decision. You're spending your money on this stuff, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, there's got to be. I said, I'm going to go online, I'm going to find the app that's out there that handles this problem that I'm
Mhm.
having, and because there's an app for everything, right? So I'm
Right.
looking, and there's nothing. There was a couple apps out there I saw that, maybe they had attempted to sort of tackle the problem, but
Mhm.
nothing that was beneficial at all. So I don't know what the hell I was thinking at the time, but I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to fix this problem, this of not having information. Um, right now, I said I should be able to walk up. In my mind, what I envisioned was, if you have your app, you should be able to walk up if you're in a store and say scan a barcode of a product. With barcode scanning technology was so popular then too. It's like,
Mhm.
and you should get all this information that you need about the ingredients. So that's kind of how it started. And um, just one day standing in the kitchen, man, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is my aha moment. And I said, looking back, that was a couple years ago. Um, I, it's crazy what I know now, as opposed to then. But because
Yeah.
I knew nothing. I knew nothing about supplements. I knew nothing about apps or technology. But I said, yeah,
Mhm.
this is what I'm going to do. So it's been an interesting learning experience for sure the last couple of years.
I imagine so. Now, what was your is your background in anything related to app development and computer programming or anything like that? 'Cause you said you taught yourself a lot about the supplements and the
Mhm.
ingredients. But do you have any kind of tech background at all that would have given you the onus to start this?
No, no, which is what, like I said, when I look back now, I had nothing. I didn't know anything about building an app. I just knew how popular they were. And with supplements and their ingredients, I didn't know about that either. I did not know one person in the supplement industry and the fitness industry. It was just always a passion of mine that I kept, to myself. I didn't interact with people, social media, things like that from fitness.
Mhm.
Nothing with technology. It's been self-taught as I started down this path. Everything has been self-taught, which in hindsight, I think has been it certainly wasn't the most efficient
Mhm.
way to do it. You know what I mean? Fitness industry is a lot about connections, who you know, and things like that. But
Yep.
I'm just teaching myself, just bearing down every day and going through these ingredients and then learning about the technology and bringing, contacting some app developers and learning about that. I mean, just getting into the guts of it just was such an accelerated learning process for me that but yeah, nothing, absolutely nothing. I didn't know. All I knew is there was a problem and I wanted to fix it, but knowing absolutely nothing, no special skills, when it came to that for sure. It's crazy when I think about
That's the mark of a successful entrepreneur is having that initial idea, the ability to solve you identify a problem and then you craft a solution to address that specific problem. And that's the start of all great business ventures. And then now it's a lot of hard work and some things kind of rolling your way, some fortunes, some turns of fortune happening your way and whatnot. So very cool. What's been some of the I guess all right, so you had the idea a few years ago to develop the app. How long from that moment until you released version 1 of the app and you started, doing some beta testing?
it. It probably took about a year from the initial idea, maybe not quite that long, probably a little bit less than a year. Because first thing I had to do was I had to Google how you make an app.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I want to make an app and I want to about the fitness industry. I was like, so how do I make an app? So I Google how do you make an app, And the first thing, a lot like the fitness industry, ironically enough, is there's so much marketing
Mhm.
and false claims and this and that. So I had to wade through a lot of stuff. When I was contacting some app developers, yeah, I got screwed over at the beginning, by a couple people where, I remember the one company they helped me sort of start to get the whole idea rolling and then they just disappeared, like the whole company disappeared. Like the money I gave them, everything like that, all gone. So,
Mhm.
it was a learning experience. And so I think a lot of people, right then that was early. I think a lot of people would have said, okay, well, I'll just go back because I had a career, I had a
Yeah.
job. Didn't have to be doing this, but I just really felt like it was. And as I sort of got out there and talked to more people about it, I really believed that it was something that could help.
Mhm.
And so I took some bumps and bruises early on with the app development, but luckily enough, I ended up with this really great app development team that really were very hands on with me, sort of teaching me about the process. They involved me like every step of the way. So that was definitely a blessing. Really helped me understand. I still don't. like still to this day, there's a lot of stuff with the apps and with coding and stuff that I still don't get.
Mhm.
But at least I could learn enough to know how I could apply certain ideas.
Mhm.
And then, same as the fitness ingredient or the ingredients, better than anyone. When you go and Google an ingredient, sometimes you get a lot of, okay, this company says this ingredient is the greatest thing in the world,
Right, it's a lot of pseudoscience and false claims.
right, and you're so
Hollow
you're
claims
trying.
that we won't say false, we'll say hollow just so we don't irritate anybody.
Right,
So,
right. It's true, and it's impossible for someone to really know the difference, especially if you're not used to it. And
mhm.
I remember, when I first was sort of putting this plan into place. I mean, literally, man, what I did was I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have this barcode scanning technology, and I'm gonna build this database of ingredients and sort of plug and play. So I took, the first product I had and started researching each ingredient one by one and trying to figure out a way. Because the other problem I realized was, if you go to like Examine or something like that that does a really good job, a lot of it really it only helps a certain amount of the population. I'm thinking, because I was just a regular customer, you like with a problem. A lot of people just don't understand that type of language. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's almost so scientific that it's like, well, okay, well, how does that help me? So I couldn't like copy and paste, which was actually ended up being a really good thing. I had to really actually learn about what the ingredients did, and so I would interpret it into this app, which gets me in trouble all the time because if I make it too easy, then scientific people are they're like, well, you don't know what you're talking about, and if I make it too complex, then people that are aren't they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? So I'm trying to find that balance between keeping it scientific and accurate, but also being able to help the everyday person that I mean, supplements are everywhere anymore. You have people going in and getting energy drinks, that would have never done it in the past, from a gas station. It's like, well,
Right.
how do I help that person too? So yeah, man, knew nothing, absolutely nothing. The whole thing's been from day one, just a crazy learning experience. And I joke about it, like everyone that's follow along with us has sort of been going on this journey with me, which is kind of
Mhm.
what I like because I always say, hey, if you're going to go to a supplement store or shop, like take take us with you. That's the idea of the app. Like basically, that's like saying, hey, I'm going to bring you guys with us, to the store. So yeah, it's been fun, man.
Yeah, I think it's a genius development just because or for several reasons, but for the most reason that places like Vitamin Shop, GNC, and all the mom and pop shops, most of those owners and sales associates that work there probably don't know a whole lot about the products. They know that this is the product of the month that they need to push, and they'll get extra commission if they push X amount of volume of product. So having that app kind of helps the consumer navigate through a lot of the BS and marketing tricks and sales tactics they'll use to push a product on you when you can actually look at it and say, all right, well, this is a 6 gram prop blend full of 36 ingredients and not one of them is dosed properly.
Right, and I think that was really the idea is just how do I this day and age the way how educated customers are about everything. I mean, you go to a car lot, you already know what car you're going to buy probably. All you got to do is test drive it. That's the only thing you're waiting for.
Hmm.
Everyone researches everything. But the supplement industry just didn't have that. And I was surprised, when I realized I had this issue, like I said, I looked for the solution to it. I knew somebody had already done it, but they hadn't. So I'm like, when you have things that are going in people's bodies, people are more aware of what they're taking in, to an extreme sometimes, but
Hmm.
they really want to know. And why this problem, hadn't been addressed already. And then when I got into it and started doing the work, I realized that, okay, it's just a lot of work. That's why it
Yeah.
hasn't been done. But yeah, it started very organically, just me being a customer, feeling helpless, and wanting to empower myself and empower other people that I knew that were like me. And that's always been the drive, even when things have been difficult. I know that as people have given me feedback that it's a good thing. So I just
Hmm.
want to keep rolling with it.
So before we started up the podcast, we were talking beforehand, and you mentioned that you were married, or you are married currently.
Mhm.
When you started the idea to get Supplement Snoop going, were you married then?
Yeah, she is, I have the most understanding wife definitely in the world. Because I told her, I'm like, "Okay, so I'm going to spend all of our money, that we've saved up on this dream, this vision I have." And she was like, "Go for it. I think it's a great thing." Like, and I'm going, "Okay, you realize, like, I'm not gonna borrow money from anyone." I said, "I wanna do this all by myself." I didn't ask for anybody's help. Like, I just started doing the research, because I
Mhm.
think people would have probably tried to talk me out of it, but
Yep.
she was the only one I brought it up to, and she was like, she was like, "You can do it." She's like, "This is a real problem, and if anybody is stubborn enough probably to do it anyway, she probably had faith in my just undying stubbornness to just get it done. But yeah, yeah, married and still happily married. So we made it through that section of it, which is good.
That's fantastic, man. She is a keeper. She sounds a lot like
For
Sandy
sure.
with my transition to doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, definitely hold on to her.
Right,
Um,
because you've had the same kind of thing where you're basically switching career paths and you move to a different state and all that stuff. So
oh yeah,
you,
something
you
completely different from what I was previously doing.
yeah, man, and it's like we had this conversation not too long ago where people are fascinated, the young entrepreneurs and stuff like that. They're like, well, you can't be married because it's just such an
Strain
extra
or something.
responsibility and strain. And
Mhm.
I'm like, but if you have the right one, um, it can really just take it to another level, which is cool. I never lost faith. Even when you might lose faith in yourself sometimes, it's just it works out perfectly.
Yeah, and plus, if you're currently unhappy in your job and then you switch to a venture which might not be as much financial gain at the outset, but you're less stressed and you're actually looking forward to working on it during the day, that translates into the rest of your life in a way you would never even think about. Just you're enjoying everything else more because you're happy doing what you're doing too.
Absolutely, and that's where we're at right now. It was just maybe in I guess July. So we're in November right now.
Mhm.
July was where we were talking beforehand where we sold our house, we decided to move, and I decided I'm not, even though Supplement Snoop came out, say maybe 2 years ago,
Mhm.
a little bit less than 2 years, it wasn't until just a few months ago where I'm like, I'm done. I'm done working for other people. I'm gonna see this thing through 100% because I just couldn't. I was always doing it part time. Working during the day, and then I was going to school also, and then doing Supplement Snoop at night, doing the research end of it. And I'm like, if we're really going to be serious about this, it's got to be 100%. And yeah, I mean, it was the best decision I ever made. It's nerve wracking and things like that, especially when we're generating. We're sort of turning the corner when it comes to generating income with it. But
Mhm.
just the benefits you get, building like as one of our mutual friends always says, he's like building wealth instead of or generating wealth rather than income.
Right.
And that's really what we're doing is you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's been awesome, man. I mean, this time frame we're in right now is just incredible. But a lot of people, I don't think they would have stuck to it. I think that's a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but you don't want to do that. There's no instant gratification. I mean, this was the least amount of instant gratification I've ever seen in my life. Like anything I've done, like it took a couple years before really things started to turn around. So yeah, if you're looking for instant gratification, you don't want to be an entrepreneur, but it is worth it in the long run.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. Now, when you sunk in some money and paid those app developers and one or two of the companies that decided to take your money and kind of run with it, how was that received by the other half? What was the talks chats like during that? If you feel comfortable going into that.
No, absolutely, man. It's actually great because she's crazier than I am. She was like, "No, I trust you. I think you can do it." I'm like, "You sure?" Because I don't even know if I can do it. Like, I'm like, "This is really," because that's what I noticed. As we got we started into it, I had this idea, but the actual application of it was really complex. And
Mhm.
um, as I'm going, I was like, "Geez," I was like, "Are you gonna talk me out of this at any point?" You know? She's like, "Nope, because this is a real thing. It's gonna help people." And it was kind of just that holding on to that idea where if you do something really selfless, that should help, that's gonna help a lot of people, then
Mhm.
it will just work itself out. Like, just, we were smart the way we sort of set up, things as far as money goes. We're good with money, and um, just opened up this opportunity. And then, she said it to me the other day. She's like, "It just makes me so happy to see you happy, and just enjoying
Yep.
what you're doing." So it's there was never, which is amazing. There's never a thought of stopping, and never a moment where she wasn't 100% supportive, which is, it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, my journey sounds very similar to that, and it's incredible, man, and, I'm extremely happy for you too. So it sounds like y'all have a fantastic marriage, and, things are working out well, so I'm very congratulations on that.
Yeah, man, thank you. I appreciate it. You too. Obviously, I know I've seen your wife in like a few of your videos and stuff like that in the past. It's always cool to see a wife that wants to be involved, even if she thinks what you're doing is if she
Yeah.
doesn't appreciate it fully. Like, just the fact that she wants to be involved, I always thought was really cool. So
Yeah, she's awesome, she's my rock, and, yeah, definitely awesome. Now going forward with the app, obviously when you first started, you were having to input every ingredient, every efficacious dose of it, and all of the product blurbs that go with it. Are you still having to do that now as new ingredients emerge? Like if when Vaso 6 pops on the scene and next CBD and some of these other things that Compound Solutions and Nutrition 21 and all these other guys are developing?
yeah, so it's interesting that this time frame too, because we've kicked around a lot of ideas as we're sort of looking to build this app to the next level that we're at right now. You wanna automate things as much as you can to save yourself time, but
Mm.
I just, man, I can't do it. I feel like a lot of people too that are really close followers of Supplement Snoop, and the people that I've talked to, they really, part of why they like it so much is they get to know me, and they know the way I'm sort of approaching it. I'm not just copying and pasting. I'm not just taking this tagline from a company. And I always want to know as much as I can about the ingredients. That way, if someone asks me a question, say offline or something like that, I can always answer it for them. So I still, to this day, even when I put in, say, a new product, it's all manual. I put in, I find the image online. I insert each ingredient one by one. Luckily, by now, most of them I already have researched and things, and I can sort of just, click and just move around. But it's still, it
Right.
takes me at least 10-15 minutes to put a product in, at minimum. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't know if it's I feel like at this point, having that control over how the information is being viewed by the other person, I feel like that's still important. I feel like that kind of adds to the customer experience a little bit too. I think
Mhm.
whenever someone contacts me, they can always know that I'm the one and I'm not always right, and they can always come to me and say, we can have a conversation about, an ingredient or a product or something like that. And I've made it where, as studies come out, I can always change things up a little bit. I can edit everything out. But I think it's important to people, especially when they know my story with it. I come from the same place maybe they're at, of
Mhm.
just not knowing, and then going, okay, now I've done this work. I was like, now let me sort of give you this one-on-one experience rather than just giving you some general information. So I guess that was a long way to answer, yes. And I still do everything 100% manual. And we're just having that conversation today because we're adding some huge new information, features, and stuff like that to the app. And we're having this conversation about, hey, we're going to have to do this manually, and this is going to take a long time to
Mhm.
do this. But it's just, I think it's better that way, man, because the industry is still it's a lot better, but it's hard to really just pick one place online and say this is where I'm going to get my information from and I'm just going to
Hmm.
put it there. It just still doesn't we're not at that point yet where I feel comfortable letting someone else tell a Supplement Snoop customer about their ingredient or product. I'm just not there yet.
No, that's completely understandable. Now with now obviously when you were starting out and early on the first couple of years, you were probably having to keep a constant eye on places like Stack 3D for the new product releases, or even I guess the social media feeds of the supplement companies to see when new products were released. But since you've been in the game a while now, and you've made some connections with, I'm sure some of the supplement companies and the formulators or social media arm of those of the brands, have they started sending you information when new products are released, or are you still kinda having to do a lot of that legwork on your own?
Yeah, it's been and I guess that was one of the things I just never really considered at the beginning was, you know, how many actual company owners out there it's amazing, I've gotten great feedback from customers, but I've
Mhm,
really got a lot of great feedback from a lot of companies that they're smaller companies maybe that don't have the marketing budgets and things like that, and they feel like Supplement Snoop is kind of a way to sort of level the playing field.
mhm.
There's no marketing budget. We've never taken one dime, from any supplement company because I think as soon as you do that, you just open that door a little bit where things can get a little weird. So I've always tried to keep
Yep.
it. Look, here's the information, and if you want to, you can compare this product side by side with the one that's super popular.
Mhm.
And I'm not, I try to refrain from telling someone to say what to do, like, oh, pick this. But I want to give you as much information as possible. So there's been a lot of companies that are really on board with us and support us in ways just that. Like when they'll reach out and say, what do you guys think of this formula? We have this going. Like, is this something that people you think would benefit them, and then they keep me up to date. There's a lot of companies still we're waiting to sort of come around to, but the response has been great. I never really saw, it's only natural, I think, to get into the industry and to there's influence there. You know what I mean? There's a
Mhm.
lot of money thrown around. There's a lot of people want free products and things like that. So there's a lot of
Oh,
things that
yeah.
can influence you. But we've um we've really built some genuine bonds with some good people running some companies, and we don't when it comes to the app, there's nothing we can do to make them look better.
Mhm.
It's just really them. It's them, their product standing out when you put them side by side. So it's been good. It's really been just tons of help from companies. I remember like from the very beginning. uh, I think it was RSP Nutrition was like the first email I sent out. I was like, hey, here's what I'm doing. I don't have an app yet. I was like,
Mhm.
but this is my idea. You know, I'd like to know more about your products. And they were awesome. I'm just I had
Wow.
nothing. I didn't even have a social media account. Like there was no reason for them to help me at all.
Yeah.
And eventually I remember having like a couple hour long conversation with one of their formulators that was behind all that, and they really helped. There was like Olympus Labs from the beginning. They were
Mhm.
really helpful with
Yeah,
just giving me
Movie's a good guy
information.
over there.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's just phenomenal. And yeah, when I realized, all I knew back then too was I knew the optimum nutritions and the cellucores, the things that were mainstream that you would see
Right.
all the time. And when I started adding these products, like Genius brand was another good one where I open up this Genius brand I had never heard of, and I'm looking at their labels, and I'm like, wow, these guys they're doing things a little different than I've seen, up
Yeah.
until this point. And then I reach out to them and I say, hey, I'd like to learn more about you guys, and they call me up, you know what I mean, and we're having a conversation, and to this day, we still remain, in contact, and it doesn't have anything to do with sending me free products or me getting any money from them. It's just a genuine drive, I think, from companies and from us to just just give people information. I mean, it's the least we can do is just, ultimately what they buy is up to them. But, up to that point, they should know. People should just know that, it's 2018, people should know before they spend their money. I mean, especially as much money as some of the stuff costs.
Yeah, supplements are not cheap. They're not
Yeah,
cheap for the average consumer, especially if you're going to GNC and paying whatever ridiculous price they've got on the shelf there.
for sure.
So,
Yeah,
yes,
it's like that was always a big part of that drives me too. We were just having this conversation the other day, I remember the first I should show my age too. The first like supplements I remember using were like the original Celtec and
uh-huh.
Nitrotech from, and it's funny too because when I have these conversations with like younger people, they're like, "Oh, the original," and they'll show me, the blue Celtec. I'm like, "No, no, no, no." I'm like, "Not that one. I'm talking the old one, like in the white jug with the orange and blue or purple label."
Oh, yeah.
And right, I mean, I was probably making, $8 an hour back then, and going and buying, $100 worth of Muscle Tech stuff, and it's kind of that whole thing where it's like if you just feel like if I can help that, if I can help someone, and nothing against Muscle Tech. I mean, I think those were pretty good products back in the day, but it's like if you have, it's so easy to make a supplement anymore
Yeah.
that a kid say doing that, or a grandmother that wants to do something good for her health, or a soccer mom that has no time in her day to do the research. These people should all have a fighting chance when it comes to improving their health. I mean, it's just, I don't know why that's such a crazy concept.
I agree. Now, what you mentioned RSP was the first one that you reached out to. What was the reason you contacted them first? Had you been a fan of their products before, or was it just they released a new product and they gave you the idea to say, "Hey, I'll reach out to them and see what's going on"?
No, I think it was just chance. Like I think probably the reason was, so the first thing I did when I started building this database was I went to bodybuilding.com.
Mhm.
That was where I bought my supplements from back then.
Right.
And, RSP was a big brand on bodybuilding. So I think that was just how it worked. Like I saw them and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna reach out to them because I mean, I was trying to learn. I was trying to learn about all this stuff. So I genuinely just reached out to them
Mm,
for information, like, some real act, and luckily for me, they were they're a very good brand. They're very into their science. They really liked what I was doing. They're like, "That's a really good idea. Let us help you out."
mm.
So they sent me a lot of information, and it wasn't marketing materials or anything like that. It was what they genuinely believed when they were formulating their products. So it was cool. But it was just chance. I had never used anything from them. Um, but yeah, that's what I did was I just started emailing basically every company that I would come across, especially if I would see something different, say on their label. Um, I would just email them like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing, and I like this approach you're doing, or this is different. Can you tell me more about why you're doing this?" And it was great how many companies. I mean, a lot of them ignored me, but there was a handful of them, especially when I had nothing to offer. I had nothing to offer them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't even buying their products. I had no app. I had no. I'm not a social media influencer at all. You know what I mean? So it's like they had no reason to help me except for because they were passionate about their products.
Now, for users out there who have not downloaded the app yet, and if you haven't, you should go download it right now. Product
Thanks.
placement. Give them kind of a high level view of what they can expect when they open up the app and when they walk up and walk up to a product and scan the back of it.
Sure. It was always my vision. I said, the vision in my head was, okay, so you walk into a supplement store and you have just this overwhelming amount of products. Not if you go into the GNC now, you got three or four to choose from, but say if you go into a vitamin shop that actually does still do business, you have all these choices. And I'm like, you have your smartphone on you all the time. So if you open up our app, um, you walk up, you grab a product off the shelf, and you can scan the barcode. You can search for things too, because barcodes are a whole nother nightmare scenario that I didn't see coming. But the idea, so you scan the barcode, and instantly it'll kick back, the product, and it'll give a nice, concise, hopefully in layman's terms as much as possible, breakdown of what each of these ingredients are, what they do, what kind of backing they have, potential health risks, everything like that. All the information I think people should know,
Mhm.
before they actually, make a purchase. So it was all about getting that information just instantaneously to people. And then, we tried adding some features like there's a side by side comparison feature that will basically you'll load up two labels right next to each other and you can sort of scroll through it and see which one, and figure out, okay, well, maybe this has, they might be the same price, but this one's obviously got a better formula with more ingredients. This is maybe where I should buy, spend my money. And but we really, really taken it up a notch with what's coming soon. I released the version because I wanted a lot of feedback from people. We
Mhm.
kept it just about ingredients. I thought that was a really good place to start, and then sort of see how people liked it, and then take information from them. And now we're really close, like frustratingly close to releasing this next update. That's really it's basically a whole new app. I mean, the ingredients are still a very integral part of it, but
Mhm.
just a small piece of the puzzle, with the information we were able to gather from about companies. But then we have a lot more interactive features coming, with social sharing and adding to your favorites and things like that, things that we're not doing currently that we think people will really like. So um, it's very bare bones right now. It's strictly information based, but that's the way I wanted it. I thought that was the best way to, without sort of having any sort of influence. Like, here it is. Here's the information. Now you decide what to do with it, kind of thing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Now, let's say a company releases a product and it's one of those really, really small companies that tends to only release, 144, 288 units of a bottle. And then 6 months down the line, they reformulate and reissue that product. Um, is that UPC code the same? And if so, how does the app differentiate between what could be a previous version of a product and the new version?
Um, yeah. So that's all handled by me. So the UPC codes in particular, I enter each one manually.
Hmm.
Like, say for instance, Optimum Nutrition's whey protein, for instance. If
Yeah.
you go on Amazon, there's like a couple barcode websites out there too that I've used, but there's probably, I would say there's, with the different size tubs and things like that, there's probably 200 different barcodes for just Optimum Nutrition's protein. So I
Right,
had
with
to
all the
look.
flavors, each different flavor's got a different UPC code for all the listeners out
Right.
there.
It's the UPC code thing is such a nightmare, but and right, and that's the thing too, is you have people, they reformulate and don't necessarily tell you. So unless, we really rely heavily on the users to help us out there. So basically, like, if you were to scan a product right now, we're working on having a more streamlined process. But if you scan a product now and it's not in our database, it sends an email to me. That way
Mhm.
I can go and research it and then get it in there for you. And that's actually been, it doesn't seem like it's a really efficient way to do things, but it's actually got me a lot more interaction with customers, because I personally reply to their emails
Yeah.
and things like that. So I've built a lot of really good relationships that way, which is kind of funny because it's such the barcode thing is a painstaking process. It is. I never imagined, that it was so crazy like that. But now, like, even if you go on there, a lot of products don't even list their barcodes.
Mhm.
And sometimes a lot of companies will send me their barcode information because
Yeah.
they know it helps me. But yeah, man, it's staying up on it is always the biggest challenge. So we rely heavily on the users to help us out.
Right, and especially with at the volume of new companies starting up and the
Oh
amount of
my
new
God.
products that are released each week, I can only imagine the, constant state of updating that you're in with the
Yeah,
app.
yeah, it's right, every day. I mean, we stay up to date with Stacked pretty good because I think they do a good job of keeping people up to date on what's coming, and there
Mhm.
is an onslaught of just new products every single day. So
Yeah.
we're going to put it to we have a new system for the update where, if you scan the barcode, it will take you through a few steps of the process
Mhm.
where if you scan the barcode and say it's not in there, it will go to, because a lot of times I'll have the product in the database, but the barcode might
Mhm.
not match up. So it'll check to see if we have it in the database, and then it'll give you that information. And if it doesn't, we're integrating Stack's newsfeed into it. So
Very clever. Nice
yeah,
move.
we can always, yeah, those guys are awesome over there. So you won't leave with nothing. Like, you'll at least get some articles about, we have Stacked integrated right now. We want to have using Google is kind of tough because you can get all sorts of weird search results when you're
Right.
searching for certain things. But we don't want people to walk away with no information. The least we
Mhm.
can do is point you to a good resource like Stacked for some information, and then in the meantime we'll get that alert that this is what you're looking for, and then I'll get on it, and I'll put it in for you and then keep you updated on that. So it's a tough process. That's been the probably the biggest challenge from the very beginning, but I think we got a pretty good solution coming up. So
Cool. What's been some of the challenges, I guess, and what's the turnaround time? So since you've got your code developers that are working on the app there, so let's say you identify a technical issue and you send it off to them to get repaired. What's typically the turnaround time for getting those kind of things fixed?
yeah, fortunately, um, it's almost instantaneous. We really built the original version. There wasn't a lot of features and things like that, so the technical aspects were pretty easy to kind of hammer out, and then
Mhm.
the app has basically stayed the same for a while. So now, when we're releasing this new version, there's a lot more features. So that's been the biggest thing for us, is to make sure we have a dedicated app development team. It's not a big team or anything like that. I mean, there's only
Mhm.
three of us in total, working on the app right now, and but we want that person working for us,
Mhm.
so that if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and we realize we have a problem, that person's on it, immediately, so that the app never, because you only have that one chance really to make a good impression. I mean, if someone goes to use it and it doesn't work, I mean, that's it.
Right.
You might never get that chance again. So it's been really important to us that there's no lost time, whatsoever when it comes to technical things.
Mhm.
And we worked with a previous development team on the first app, and they were phenomenal. I mean, I recommend them to everybody. They're just good people. We're always on the ball with everything.
Mhm.
And then now, we went through a long interview process to find a new person to help us take it to another level, and I'm really confident in their ability to remain on the ball, because that's what it's all about. I mean, we can't fail on that end, especially when it comes to technical things, or people will
Right.
just move on. So yeah, that's a challenge we're looking forward to, though.
Cool. Um, let's see. Going forward next, how does the app deal with now we've tend to focus solely on bodybuilding supplements and stuff to help you training and working out and things like that. What about when it comes to things like fish oil supplements or nootropics or multivitamin, general health kind of supplements like that? Are you keeping a pretty close eye and able to keep up to date on that as well?
Yeah, so I can basically, anything with a barcode can go into the app. Well,
Hmm.
I shouldn't even say that. I mean, it doesn't even have. I can put anything into the database. So it's basically, at this point, I wanted to make sure I had all our bases covered, like, say, the most popular, which kind of sucks too, because it's not always the most popular products are necessarily the ones I want to make sure are included. So it's been kind of a guessing game, up to
Hmm.
this point. But that's what it's been good to have people that are willing to help us out, because they're like, hey, multivitamins are a whole nother animal, because some of those have 60, 70 ingredients in them.
Right.
So that is incredibly time consuming for me to put in. So I sort of have held off on some products. Like, if people want it, if one person tells me they want this multivitamin, they want to know about it, I'll
Yeah.
put it in there. I'll put it in there immediately. We're trying to be just efficient with, because there's just so many products. There's so many,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm willing to put anything in there. Like if someone is looking for information about it
Mhm.
and they want me to help them, I mean anything. Doesn't matter, fish oil. Um, you have regular vitamins. That people are
Mhm.
looking for, and that's actually a lot of what I get. People searching for. You'd think with all the crazy formulas with pre-workouts and stuff, but mostly what I get is whey protein and
Yeah.
vitamins and like multivitamins. So yeah, that's something just we're always going to stay on the ball with.
Yeah, it's I think I'm guilty of it too. We tend to zone in on the bodybuilding supplement side of stuff because
Mhm.
that's tends to get the most press, and that was our gateway into the supplement industry. And then you realize once you step into that and you step back, you realize, whoa, you've got multivitamins, you've got stress relief formulas, anxiety relief formulas, sleep aids, and all of this is beyond just the sleep aids that the bodybuilding supplement companies make. So and then you've got all of the different mineral forms and vitamin forms within
Right.
multivitamins themselves. So where
Right.
you compare generic Centrum versus name brand Centrum multivitamin, it's while they may look similar, you're going to have minute differences, and that's got to be quite a lot to juggle, I imagine.
Yeah, it really. I think the reason why we started with, or I should say, I started with, say pre-workouts and fat burners. I think was especially what motivated me to do it because fat burners are so popular, you
Hmm.
know, and I mean, like, no one understands a damn thing that are in those,
Nope.
that are taken. I mean, you look at those ingredients, it's all these traditional Chinese herbs and all this other stuff. So it's like
Hmm.
I think we started there because I think it was sort of the most complex, to or most misunderstood, or people really didn't understand. If someone's searching for a multivitamin or something like that, that's one thing. But I don't think a person should ever, buy, say, a weight loss supplement and literally have no idea what they're taking. Like that the line is drawn there. I
Yeah.
think that's wrong. So I think that's why we started there, with the complex ingredients and stuff. But we can take it as far as people want us to take it. I mean, I'm willing to. So I mean, I'll sit here. For I've done it for hours and hours and hours, just sitting here and data entry and research, and um, I wouldn't even want to look back and see how many unpaid hours I've had sitting here pounding away at that stuff. So, but I'm willing to, absolutely. If people want it, I'll do it all day long.
Good man. How did you come up with the name Supplement Snoop? How did that come to you?
Mm, I don't. You know what? It was like the first name I kind of came up with too. I remember just like I said it. Like the first company that actually screwed me over, they were like, "Hey, come up with like three names, and we'll see if they're, being used already." And Supplement Snoop, for some reason, was the only thing that I came up. I was like, "No." They're like, "Well, come up with two more." I'm like, "No, that's what I want. That's what I'm gonna do." I don't know why. It just sounded good in my head. It sounded right.
Yeah.
And we had discussed, if we were gonna make this app an all-encompassing sort of health app. We talked about changing the name of it,
Hmm.
and never could really come up with anything that really made sense to change it. I don't know. I don't know. It's sort of, um, I've talked about it so much to this point, and we actually, we have a lot of people that know it and that like the name. So
Hmm.
I'm almost, I don't want to change it at this point, even if it would kind of make sense. So I don't really know where it came from. Just sort of popped up, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds good. I like that.
Cool. What's a typical day for you involve? A
Well,
morning you wake up, what's the typical day for you?
right. So, oh my gosh. Well, lately, it's been, we have a couple people involved with this next step of the app. And like today, for instance, is pretty typical. Um, we had a meeting about, these next features we're coming up with, and it's just a constant problem solving, um, all across the spectrum. Like there's the problem of barcodes. Well, this barcode's not, I have these emails from people like, hey, I scanned this barcode, this product wasn't in there. So I always want to make sure like I hit those right away. I want to, if
Mhm.
someone took the time to download the app and scan a product and send me the email, that should be the first thing I take care of. Like, you've gone the extra mile. Let me make sure you're taken care of. So I'll exchange emails with people like say, "Hey, I'm working on this. I'm gonna get this in there. Thank you for helping us out," kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, Always the first thing I do in the morning. And then, lately, like I said, we've been just deep into this next level that it's just a constant, we've been testing the app internally and coming up with new ideas every single day, like, and new problems every single day, like, because we're really getting close to the end. So, and then in the meantime, I'm looking for new products
Mhm.
to make sure that I have in there and doing more research. Every day there's like a new novel ingredient that's sweeping the supplement industry, and I'm
Oh, yeah.
like I'll go and I'll look at a new product now. I probably have, I would say 3,000 ingredients that I've researched and defined and all that stuff in my
Mhm.
database, and I'll come across a product and I'll go to put it in and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? There's like a new ingredient in here? Like, how is this possible? How do I not have this like already in here after a couple years?" But it's kind of the cool part about the industry is it is changing. It's so innovative at this point. You have all these young, like super intelligent people. I made a comment the other day about how a lot of people we're running into are, they're chemistry majors in college,
Mhm.
and in the past they would take a traditional path, and now they're going into the supplement industry because they can make a difference there. And so you have these people doing some pretty cool things, and so you got to stay up on it. So yeah, typical day, there really isn't one. It's just nonstop problem solving at this point. Of, we're really trying to bring something to the table here pretty soon that's really going to make people stop and say, "Wow, that this is really going to change the game a little bit and really put the power back in people's hands even further than the first version of the app." So it's been a lot of meetings, lots of meetings, lots of Skype conversations, and
Yeah.
lots of. But yeah, I love it though. I love it. It's all good.
Excellent. With the introduction of new ingredients, there's also all of those old ingredients around, and there's been several that the research more or less is pretty clear that they're ineffective. For people that haven't experimented thoroughly with the app or that are encountering it for the first time, does the app reference anything when it say a pre-workout comes and it's got, something like 3 grams of L-arginine, 5 grams of glutamine, and 2 grams of inosine in there, which all three of those have pretty much been shown to not be beneficial in any way, shape, or form for athletes,
Right.
enhancing their performance or muscle growth or anything like that. Does the app give them any kind of warning saying, "Hey, this is what this ingredient does, but research doesn't actually show that it confers any benefits"?
That's usually, and that's where kind of um, that's where I come in. Where that's why I couldn't say just copy and paste certain information, or part of the issue. Say if you look at glutamine, for instance, if you Google it, a lot of the things you're going to see right on the first page is companies that are selling, standalone glutamine supplements that,
Right.
so you're going to be like, oh my God, it's the most abundant, and this is going to do this, and I'm going to have all this recovery. And, that's why I went to like WebMD was a big one from the
Mhm.
beginning, and examine things like that, where and if an ingredient doesn't have research, it doesn't have enough in there, I'll say it in the app. I'm like, this is the claims, but there is not enough research to substantiate this. And
Right.
yeah, I've gotten a lot of shit about that for sure. From a lot of companies about. I'm like, well, I was like, you show me something different or show me something. A lot of companies, and not that it's a necessarily a bad thing, but they might take one study now and they'll just run with it
Oh, yeah.
because it's something new. It's something that might differentiate themselves from the pack a little bit. But I was like, I try to make the ingredient definitions almost conversational
Mhm.
in nature, where I'm like, okay, this is the science behind it, but be aware of this, be on the lookout for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I can always change it. I can always go in there and edit it, but I want to keep it short too. I didn't want to, I will only want to make it like a certain length because I don't want a person just scrolling through the app.
Right.
So but I've gone back through the database, before, like when I first started researching ingredients, I think I had one style. And now as I know more, my style has kind of changed. So
Mhm.
I always try to make sure everything's up to date. That's the biggest thing because I want people to have, if nothing else, all the features be damned, all the bells and whistles. People need the real information,
Mhm.
So that's always been my main concern, was to make sure that that stuff that they're reading is accurate. So if an ingredient has claims that I'm not personally seeing, I'll say reach out. I'll reach out to some of these people and be like, hey, do you have anything more?
Yeah.
And if I don't see it, I won't put it in there. So
Yeah, and most of the time they won't. They're either citing an animal study or some kind of cell culture or something that identifies a mechanism. But I think consumers need to realize just because something shows that it works in a rat study, rat physiology, while similar to that of a human, is very different at the same time. And, cell culture studies are completely different than when you ingest something orally as well. But things got to get metabolized and go through all these other breakdowns and transportations and all this other stuff that it makes it completely different. It doesn't always translate 100%.
yeah, for sure. And then I mean, not even adding in the factor that, geez, I mean, just as people, we just use things differently. Our bodies just
Yeah.
react in different ways, and it's like, yeah, I always want people to feel like they've gotten some information, but like I said, I want them to feel like it's coming from someone that's in the same boat as them, not necessarily like, I don't want to read something in the app and feel like I'm being told, oh, this is this and this is this. It's like, okay, I try to put it in, say, a situation that you might find yourself in. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like this might be able to help you, here and there. And it's just always something I'm trying to work on ways to better help people, which is why it's so great. Like one thing I always say about the fitness community is people, if they think you have a good idea, people are super helpful. They're real positive. I've had just tons of people say, hey, how can I help? Like, I don't want to, and I mean, kind of segueing, like that's how Prady from Azoth, how he came on board with the whole thing was he was like, hey man, I want to help you out, kind of thing, just as a user of the app. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
crazy how the fitness community is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a close knit circle for better or worse. It can definitely work to your advantage, or and if you
Yeah.
make enemies, that can definitely follow you down the line. Which fortunately I haven't done yet, and I hope I never do. So
Yes.
that's definitely something to keep in mind for everybody out there listening. It's a very very close community of people, for better or worse. So you just mentioned that you crossed paths with Brady. So we both have worked with Brady and know him and talked to him on a fairly regular basis. You more so than I do, since you also run the Behind the Subs podcast with him. So how did that get started, and how did you and Brady hook up? Well, you mentioned y'all met because he expressed interest in the software and all that. So has he helped in the development of it, in the new versions and whatnot? If you want to
Yeah.
go into that, or
No, yeah, it's great because actually, yeah, it's a really important part of this next step of the business. Like that's part of the whole typical day thing. I pretty much talk to him 24 hours a day because we're so deep into this together. This belief in bringing this product out there. I think it was so. I started doing like Instagram breakdowns of products. I thought it would be a good way to sort of show how the app works, just in
Mhm.
photos. But I was never big on social media. I really kind of avoided it for a while. But Instagram was a good platform for me to show a few things and just quickly talk about a product. And I remember I came across his product, Azoth, and I did an Instagram breakdown of it. And I got a message from him. He's like, "Hey man, I really like what you're doing. Um, I'd like to help." And
Mhm.
him and I joke about this too, like at this point, because I'm like, well, I've heard a lot of that, since the very
Yeah.
beginning. You never really know someone's motives,
Hmm.
especially in the supplement industry. It's, you know.
Oh yeah.
So, we kind of exchanged a few messages, and he was like, he goes, no, he goes, I don't want anything from you. He goes, I think this is an awesome idea. He goes, it's something, him, he's like wears a million hats a day, like all the
Yeah.
different things. He goes,
Yes, he
but he
does.
always, right, he always felt like this was a big issue. He goes, and I
Mhm.
really like what you're doing. So he offered to, do like some advertising for me, like free. He goes, he's like, I'll make some flyers up for you, and I'll include them with some of my products. He goes, because I just think this is a good thing.
Mm.
I was like, well, hey, man, he didn't ask me for anything. I didn't ask him for anything. He just wanted to help. And then the more we got to talking, he's like, man, I got some ideas, this and that. And he was talking about his business background and basically just sort of mentoring me in a way. Like, even though he's younger than me, he was helping me out a lot. And it eventually came to the point where I was like, hey, man, why don't you just let's just do this together. Like,
Yeah.
let's just do, because he was really passionate about it. And, after doing it by myself for, say 2 years, I mean, and getting my ass kicked, here and there, like, wears on you a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So, you get some fresh eyes, on a project. And it's just, especially like him, being so entrepreneurial and innovative, and the way he sees things is, uh, I can't do. Like, he sees things that I don't all the time. He
Yeah.
blows me away. So it was just really natural the way he sort of came on board. We had some phone conversations, and I'd always sort of known that if I really wanted to take this to another level, I was going to need some help. I mean, I've been doing it by myself from the beginning, but I you would need that specific person. And I met a lot of people that were interested that I just didn't feel right.
Mhm.
And actually, there was another person at the same time, and I said, I can't work with this person on this project because I don't feel like they're right for this. I said, but Brady, I said, what you just from getting to know him, I was like, I think we can make this work together, because partnerships don't work. I mean,
Yeah.
partnerships are eventually they're going to fall apart. So um, and just from then on, him and I have become really, really good friends. Just really coming up with some really good ideas on how to help. And then we decided to start the podcast together too, because we felt like what we were doing with the app was going to give people a lot of information about the products, but
Mhm.
we always wanted to give more information about the companies, because we're running across all these companies with these awesome people, that they're doing all these cool things, and they have these crazy stories,
Yep.
that you don't get from their about us section on their website. So we were realizing, you're like, I think people would want to listen to this. People would want to hear, their story. And so we just started. We're like, he's a big podcaster. I'd never done one in my entire life, until I
Mhm.
met him, and now I've done like 1,000 of them. So he's like, let's do it, man. Let's just start bringing people on here. And so we started picking, some of these guys that, they put all their money into R&D, and like
Mhm.
nothing into marketing. And so it doesn't leave them any room to sort of catch up. So we're like, hey, let's take this leveling the playing field a little bit further. I don't have anything
Mhm.
against, the BPIs of the world, or Optimum Nutritions. I mean, they've done, this is America. They've made a lot of money, selling
Yeah.
supplements. But I feel like, um, if we can give a person, they're going to walk in and they're going to see BPI, say, and they're like, okay, well, I'll buy that. But
Mhm.
now, if they know about these other guys that are out there too, that are maybe coming out with better products, for even cheaper prices sometimes,
Mhm.
and they get to know these people, these founders, with their great stories that they have, and just their passion for the industry. I think it's inevitable that when your company gets big enough, you almost lose a little bit of that. So
Yeah.
we just wanted to, we started bringing some people on, had some great conversations, and it's just been great, all the way around. Prady has really helped. It really changed the trajectory of Supplement Snoop. It was up until then, it was only my ideas, and only things I was learning from other people, which, that's great, but it's only going to take you in one direction. And then all of a sudden, when he came on board, we started having these conversations where, all of a sudden I'm thinking in different, um, you know, different levels in different areas. And I'm like, okay, we can do this and we can do this. And it was just this really great timing of the whole thing. So, yeah, this next version is going to be pretty heavily influenced by him. He's got some good ideas and good design ideas, and we just, we spend a lot of time every day just how can we make this better? How can we really, really nail this? So,
Hmm.
yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, really become just one of my closest friends just through the whole deal. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, he's definitely a sharp guy and incredibly helpful in a wide area, and incredibly nice too. There's not enough good things I could say about him.
Well,
As
I always tell people like we did a podcast together, and I know you guys did too. And I made the comment last time. I said, if anyone's getting ready to listen to Brady's podcast, I was like, you might want to like block off some time later to do something, because I was like, you're gonna feel like you've accomplished nothing in your
yeah.
in your life. Like, I was like, I remember talking to him at the beginning, and he's telling me, his background. I'm like, are you kidding me, man?
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, I kind of felt like I was busy, but I'm not. I don't do anything. I was like, I gotta step it up. So, but it's cool to see people like that, just with that ambition. And then, when someone that's been successful and sees things from that angle, when they come along and they tell you, hey, I really believe in what you're doing. I mean, that's just a natural, just a good thing to hear, that, okay, this is really,
Hmm.
something I think we can make work. So, yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, the last, I would say, 5 or 6 months have really been, just changed everything with as far as what we're doing. So
Hmm.
I can't wait for people to see like what we've been up to like for the past few months. We're so close, but yet still feels like we're so far. So,
Is there an ETA on the new version launching?
oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble if I say something, but hopefully
Within 3 months, you think?
before the end of the year, um, it's got to happen. Like that's just, we're very close. We're just sort of, beta testing is right around the corner.
Hmm.
We've got a really good group of beta testers that we have lined up, but it'll be. I, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm just gonna say it because I'm gonna will it into. But before the end of the year, we'll release the app for sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully sooner. But then it gets in that weird area where, um, we just want to make sure it's right, though.
Hmm.
Just we put so much into it, we want to make sure it's right. But it's frustratingly close.
Yeah.
So we're there.
In your conversations on Behind the Subs podcast, who've been some of the more interesting companies that you've talked to, and the ones that kind of jump off the radar outside of the obvious ones that most consumers know?
That's a good question, because what's weird is we've only done a few episodes. We've had, I had Prady on, with being from Azoth, which his story is just, as unique as you get. You won't
Yep.
find anyone that has a story quite like his.
Yeah.
And but then we've had this really wide range of people on there. Like we had, you guys I think reviewed Iron Brothers before.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. The Iron Brothers
so
pre-workout.
yeah,
Back when it
Mark.
was DMHA inclusive.
Yes, yes. So Mark, from Iron Brothers, just he's become a good friend of mine too, just through this whole process. He's a family man. He's got 3 kids. He works full time. He's from Canada, and he started the supplement company because, it was just a passion of his. And then you have, we had Rob from Genius on the other day, with his story about, he was trying everything, tried all these supplements, and then he sort of built a lifestyle out of it. He goes, we just really we wanna help people, live healthier and all this stuff. So they started coming out with all these products, and it's kind of cool to see these smaller companies really, their brand is an extension of their owners, you know what I mean, of their
Right.
founders. It's a really cool thing. Like, we had, I don't know if you ever heard of WG Nutrition. They've got, it's called Cinerval. It's their,
Hmm.
they have like so we had Tyler on, for instance, from there, and he is awesome, like such a good guy. But he's a chemistry major. You know, he went to school for chemistry, and he just, I mean, the formulas that they come out with, he just is a firm believer, and I'm going to make as much bang for the buck with these clinical dosages as
Hmm.
possible. And you know, some people believe, you know, that's over engineering or it's overkill, and he's like, I'm going to give, you know, someone the clinical dose, you know, the proven effective dose of these patented ingredients, um, because he's like, I think that's what people deserve. And then we had category 5, Eric from category 5, we had him on the other day, same thing, you
Hmm.
know, he's a chemistry major, he does all their testing. So it was really cool to hear these guys. um, and what was funny, there was like a parallel between a lot of them where, you know, they got started by mixing up their own stuff. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
When they were in college and they were too poor to afford to go out and buy something, they just started mixing their own, and it just sort of led to um, them deciding to go, you know, with their own product, which is pretty cool. Like I just never did that. I do it now,
Yeah.
but that was never. I'm like, you guys were doing that stuff when you were like 19. That's crazy to me. You know what I mean? And they just end up. It's cool to see them sort of eventually, you know, see that through. And I like, I find myself listening to our podcasts, and then all of a sudden I just listen to the whole thing because I love hearing these guys and telling their stories. It's just everything's unique, even though there's similarities in there. Everyone's got a unique story to tell.
Hmm. Now, you've got a fairly busy day with updating the stuff, and I'm sure you're up fairly early, and you're probably going to bed fairly late if you're like most people working for themselves and starting
Yeah.
their own businesses. What does your daily supplement regimen entail? Are you fueled on
Oh
caffeine
man.
and crack the entire day, or you got some
Yeah,
nootropics
man.
going on, or
Uh,
what's a typical supplement day in your shoes?
oh my God. All right, so I'll tell you what I did today. Yeah, the you know, we have a joke about it's like the 3 a.m. crew we have, where it's all hours of the night. You know, sometimes I'm like, wow, we haven't slept in like 2 days. You know, especially as we're going through some of these things. So I like to try as many products as I can. That way, I can really give that extra little bit of feedback when people ask me about products.
Are
Um,
the companies sending them to you, or do you have to buy most of them on your own?
well, the companies do send me a lot of stuff. You know, I don't ask for it. You
Yeah.
know, it's I see a lot of weird stuff where people, there's like, hey, can you send me some reviews and or some samples and I'll do a review on them. And companies do it, but a lot of companies, they I think they see the benefit for them
Hmm.
to send me something, and I think I always try to make sure that I give them a fair shake. Like you guys were the same way. Like when you would watch your videos, I think companies would send you products because they knew you're not taking it for granted. You're really
Right.
gonna give some honest feedback about it, and that's what I try to do too. So yeah, I've got a I've got a little mountain of you know, supplements going, but
Yeah.
I started off today with, I tried my first mile blocks. I know I'm way behind on them, but Rubik's,
Hmm.
because I wanted to stim free um, something in the morning.
Yeah.
I had Rubik's today and Azoth first thing in the morning. And then I had Ritual, that Ritual AM
AM
coffee
ritual. Yep.
stuff. Oh my God, I love that stuff.
Oh
That
yeah,
stuff
it tastes so
is,
good. That Italian coffee cream.
yep. So I had
Oh
those
man,
three
that's so good.
things like first thing in the morning. So I was ready to go. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then, you know, normally we'll go to the gym, say in the afternoon, but my wife was like, well, hey, let's go now. Let's go now and get it done with. And I was like, all right. So I didn't have any breakfast. And then I think I had rain today. So
Yeah,
pre-workout
from
or
the new Olympus.
pre-workout,
Is it the new Olympus one or is it the old one?
well, it's like the second where they improve the flavors of rain.
Yeah.
It's not the I am Supreme, I think is the new
Okay.
name. So I had some of that and that build fast formula,
Hmm.
that Vaso Blitz. See, I
Yeah.
had like a little bit of everything today so far. It's crazy. Like it's funny. So we're right now we, you know, we came out. We're staying with you know, some family and friends. You know, we came out east to see some people before we moved out west eventually. So
Hmm.
it's funny the comments I get. They're like, how many packages do you get a day? And I'm like, the UPS person, I always like the person I talk to probably third most in line is whoever our UPS driver is in
Yep.
whatever city we're living in at the time. Because
I know that feeling all too well. There's
yeah, I can
it's a
imagine.
weekly occurrence getting surprises sent to the house.
Yeah, but it's cool. They get to try some really cool stuff. There's really, as redundant as things could get,
Mhm.
it's cool. You do see some people just trying out some things, and like we were talking about Olympus Labs. I think they're one of them that I noticed. I mean, they really are aggressive with trying some new things, and I think companies like them is always good, whether you like them or not, or whether their products work for you or not. It's always good to have companies like that out there that will push those boundaries a little bit. You know what I mean? So other companies don't get complacent.
Yeah, they definitely like to push the envelope as far from the standpoint of finding ingredients off the beaten path and going for some of the ones that work, I guess, that have been studied more from a mechanism of action point of view or an animal study
Mhm.
point of view that just because that this is the interesting crossroads I encounter when I'm discussing products with people is that they say, well, there's no human studies back them. And then at the same time, if you show them a human study, chances are it's probably backed by somebody who's got some kind of interest in a supplement company,
For sure.
and they're saying, well, we can't trust animal studies and we can't trust this study because it was funded by a supplement company. And I'm thinking at some point, the federal government isn't going to pay millions and millions of dollars to run all these double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized control trials on a nitric oxide booster for your pre-workout. I mean, they're
Right.
worried about AIDS research, cancer research, diabetes, and all this other stuff. So
Priorities.
we've got to find some kind of middle ground where you're going to either be okay with these supplement funded studies, or you got to rely on some of these MOA studies that are showing that. So it's always a balancing act that you kind of have to straddle.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it kind of comes down to. Because still, no matter how much we do to give information for people, inevitably someone will say, well, what should I take? What do
Hmm.
you recommend? And I'm like, well, that's a whole nother conversation, because it's like, well, what are your specific needs? Like, for instance, I said, I take Rubik's in the morning. Well, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's not just someone that wants to lose weight. It's like, well, what's you need to know more information from people in order to really give them an accurate.
Hmm.
Basically, what we're trying to do is just bare minimum make sure you're not wasting your money on some of these products that should not be out there, and
Right.
hopefully inspires you to do some more digging yourself. Like, I'm going to give you a lot of information, but hopefully that sort of flips a switch, in your mind, and gets conversations happening, gets people with how social media works now, and all that stuff. I mean, an idea spreads so quickly anymore
Hmm.
that, I just want to spark um, the same thing that happened to me. When I looked at that container that one day and I said, I want, there's a better way. There's got to be a better way to go about this. And the more people we can get on board with that, I think it just ultimately benefits, everyone, even,
Yeah.
from top to bottom. Just conversations and more education is always a good thing.
Hmm. With that said, with what Supplement Snoop aims to do with providing more information to customers, what's your feelings on prop blends, and do you use any products that contain prop blends? Because I'll be forthright and say any product that I have helped companies formulate, or any products that would I do consult with companies, I always try to make sure it is transparently dosed. And with that being said, I'm always for transparency in doses. But there are a few select prop blend pre-workouts I have here that just hit me perfectly, and I'll use them, and I'm upfront with people about that. I'll use one, but it's because I know the people who make it, and I've been told the dosages in them.
Yes,
So.
that's I know it's probably not an answer people want to hear, but it really, for instance, I just had a company yesterday. They got a new product coming, and they sent me a picture of the label. Now it's a prop blend, kinda. Like,
Hmm.
they have the ingredients there, and a couple of them it shows the dosages. So you can basically determine, if you look at it, okay, you can figure out how much is in there. And
Yeah.
their idea was, they went with we've had our formula stolen too many times. We don't want to give out all the information, but there's being transparent without maybe being 100% transparent in certain ways.
Yeah.
So, I'm not, but it's when you see those blends where it's say, a lot of them too now, maybe like the stem blend might be a little bit, but the rest of the label is fully disclosed.
Yeah, Inspired does that with
Yeah,
some of their pre-workouts like Devastate and whatnot.
yeah, that white diamond, that was one of them I was just thinking of. Their Mile Blocks does that a little bit. Sometimes some of their
Hmm.
stuff is so. A lot of times I'll go a step further. You look at their website, Mile Blocks, using them again for an example. There's not a lot of companies. I mean, they put everything on their website. Everything
Hmm.
about every ingredient. So not all prop blends are created equal. When you have
Right.
those, but you look back and still you see some of these ones where it's like it's just one lump sum of ingredients, say in a 7 or 8 gram serving size, and nothing is accounted for, and there's 30 ingredients. That I can't deal with. That
Right.
I don't agree with. That is just the laziest. And I've said this a few times. I said, you go on Instagram or something like that, or social media, and fitness is all about um, not cutting corners, right?
Hmm.
Motivation, see it all the way through and all this kind. And then when we come out with these products, we're gonna totally be lazy as hell and
Yeah.
half-ass it. And I'm like, how ironic is that? That this product is supposed to help people be more motivated and things is just put out there. So one here's an example too that, and I never got a good answer, but it really kind of ticked me off. Um, BPI came out with their last that one more rep, the newer one.
Yeah.
So they sent me one to review, and then there's a guy from Instagram. He's from New Zealand, and he goes, "Hey man, let's review it together. We'll do an Instagram live review together."
Hmm.
So I was like, "Okay, cool." Well, I get the one more rep, and I look, and there's a proprietary blend of some ingredients. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Damn it," because
Typical
it's
BPI.
right. It's a better effort than they've made in the past, but
Right.
still. So he sends me a picture of his, and because he's in New Zealand, it's all accounted for.
Oh
Every
yeah.
dosage is listed on there, and I'm like, so they did it there, but they're because they have to,
Right.
but they couldn't do it here. Like I don't that blows my mind. I was like, why don't you just put it on there? You already made the label for someone else. Like just put it
Uh-huh.
on there. I don't get it, and
Laziness.
I don't understand the big secret. Like I said, I get it. Some companies, with the copycatting and everything, I don't write a product off just because it's proprietary, as
Mhm.
long as there is um, some transparency, say throughout the company or on the label. You
Right.
know what I mean? But yeah, I don't want to see any more of those shitty, just one lump sum of ingredients. I think those days are dead. I hope they go away for good because it's not right. You know.
I hope so, and I think the majority of those products that are coming out like that, where it's just one lump sum and it's got everything from arginine into caffeine to yohimbine and everything in between,
Hmm.
it's usually those fly-by-night companies where they're
Oh
purchasing
yeah.
a pre-made formula from some contract manufacturer, and then they're paying, a graphic designer to slap a label on somebody else's tub and all that, and it's just they don't know anything about the industry. They're just looking to make a quick buck, and they'll be gone before the next version of that pre-workout is released.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree
Yeah.
there. You just hope that I hope that we can get them out quicker. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
that's like part of my goal. It's like if you can't if you can't take that extra step and just give people, a good amount of information, then you shouldn't be in the business of selling people things that go in their bodies and stuff like that. I just don't. I don't agree with it. I think
Mhm.
those days, I hope a lot of those companies made a lot of money back in the day because, if we can help it, a couple years from now, that won't happen anymore.
Yeah, I hope so. Speaking of which, a few years from now, where do you foresee yourself, Supplement Snoop, and future aspirations within the industry and beyond?
Yeah, it's always been the goal. How do we make sure because supplements anymore. It's not, not just bodybuilders and things like that using them. I mean,
Mhm.
it's everybody, man. Everyone, now you have nootropics and all these other things designed. You're seeing this really cool, biohacking, because people feel like they're under more stress and they need more energy all the time.
Mhm.
Um, you're seeing a lot of this gravitation towards mainstreaming everything with supplements. And I want to make sure, like, my goal is to make sure everyone has access to our app and has it on their phone, the same way you would have Google Maps at this point. Like,
Mhm.
um, even if you don't necessarily use it, but just always have a resource where you don't ever have to go into anything blind. You know what I mean? Which is,
Mhm.
so over the next couple of years, well, especially, we're going to learn a lot over this next couple of months about where we're at. There's a Like I said, it's just such a massive overhaul that's coming, but it's still only going to be, say, the first step in the process. We've already had a lot of conversations how everything that monetarily that comes in, I mean, is going to go back into the app to make sure that we're keeping up with
Mhm.
everyone. I mean, we're not in it to make a profit at this point. We're in it to build something. It's kind of like a monumental task. I didn't really realize it at first, but it's such a big problem, um, and such a big undertaking that we're just going to keep pushing until it's right, until people can say, hey, we feel good, like, until everyone can be confident about the money that they're spending. If one person's
Mhm.
out there buying a supplement and they're sort of unsure, about handing their money over, like whether they're getting ripped off or not, then we still have work to do.
Mhm. Uh, does the app, for those of the consumers that are considering purchasing it, but they haven't purchased it yet, ha do you insert any of your own personal opinions or reviews on products that you've tried into there so they could get maybe, a personal user's experience on the product?
So I don't. The way it's set up right now, I don't. Like, if it's kind of one of our. That's a tough thing. Um, we want to make sure that people get the right information and they can
Mhm.
make the decision for themselves. If someone, you we'll make sure you have access. Like, you can have access to me 24/7. You ask me as many questions as you want, and I'll tell you. But as far as the app goes, we want to keep it as without really any influence in it. You
Mhm.
know, it's just, I think it's the right thing to do right now.
I
I don't
agree.
want to I don't want to put my opinions in there. Basically, how I get my personalized touch on it is by just helping people understand, say, the mechanisms of the ingredients, trying to get them, putting it in terms where it clicks for them, so they can judge whether. I really try to steer clear of putting what I think, um, because I think the information basically speaks for itself. Like, once you start learning about these ingredients
Mhm.
and learning about the dosages and things like that, you really don't even have to say anything. It doesn't guarantee that a person is going to like that product, but it's a good start. And I think, but if anyone contacts me, like, I'm always on Instagram and stuff like that, if people talk to me there personally, like offline,
Mhm.
I talk to people all the time about products, and I don't necessarily just recommend like one thing, but we can have a conversation about why. And that's kind of part, like, a big section of the new app is we're implementing like a reverse search where you'll answer like a series of questions,
Mhm.
and Supplement Snoop will kick back products that fit those parameters that we feel like can help you. So it's kind of our opinion in a way, but it's really just the science that's backing it up. We're just sort of helping walk you to that goal, because some people kind of want to do their own research, and then other people want to be told. I still want to refrain from just saying, hey, take this,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of good products out there. um, but yeah, we're trying to just come up with ways where as hands off as possible as far as having our personal influence on it, though.
The reverse search is a fantastic idea because, like you've experienced, you get questions each day saying, "Hey, which pre-workout do you recommend?" And you can't, if you respond with just a blanket answer to a person, that shows that you don't really know that much about the products, or you just don't care enough to do that.
Hmm.
Because each person's what's the person's typical daily caffeine intake? What time are they working out? What goals do they have? Which, because if they're more of an endurance athlete, I'm going to recommend different supplements to them than if they're a power lifter or if they're a bodybuilder or whatever.
For sure.
So there's always qualifiers that have to go into an answer when you're recommending supplements, and I'm glad to see that y'all are starting to build that in and automate it in the app for people. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's and it's the bane of our existence right now is trying to get this reverse search right. You know, we have a lot of ideas, and then you see them put into place, and we're still um, just working really diligently every day on you know what will help most. You know what I mean? It's one thing for us to say, hey, we should have a reverse search, and but then we're like, okay, what would really help a person, knowing, does it have banned substances, or is it banned substance free? Is it caffeine free? What's, part of it is, you sort of give a goal, what kind of user you are. Are you a beginner, or are you an
Hmm.
advanced user? So yeah, we're trying to come up with the right questions that we feel can really lead you to a good, solid answer. And then we have our own. You might be interested in this too. We decided to come up with our own sort of verification system.
Hmm.
Um, you can filter out results in the app coming up where it's Supplement Snoop verified. And in order to do that, there's really only a handful that are,
Hmm.
because the products need to be transparent. But the companies have to be transparent too, and you have to have, say, submit to us a batch report.
Hmm.
Over you know, which a lot of people might not even realize. I mean, you can have certain ingredients in there, but not all ingredients are the same. You know
Right.
what I mean? And there's these testing, the testing that's done there. Like NutriBio. I know you and I agree on this. Probably NutriBio is really at the forefront of being transparent about everything. I mean, they
Absolutely.
have. So I think that, I mean, yes, that is very. I'm sure it's very expensive to be that upfront about everything, but I think that's what all companies should strive to do. So if you go into our app right now, because NutriBio they have a whole website, dedicated to all their, third-party testing and all that stuff, and
Hmm.
that's a big part of the equation. I think that sometimes gets overlooked. So, if you go in there now and you filter out results for Supplement Snoop verified, it's only companies. There's like just to give you a couple examples, like ProMix, I think is one. They
Hmm.
provide their batch testing right on Amazon. So theirs is verified. We
Hmm.
are able to see the results. So unless we personally can see, we're not necessarily going to like post it out there. But
Yeah.
if you show us your batch reports that your ingredients and products are meeting the standards that you're saying it, then
Hmm.
we'll give you sort of like, the check, the Twitter check or the
Yep.
Instagram check by you, that you're verified. And I think that's going to be something that can hopefully spark some companies to want
Open
to
up
do
more.
that, because right now, like Prady with Azoth, he sent me
Hmm.
his batch report. um, so if you go on our app, and you filter something out, and it truly means a lot to them that you want something that's verified, you're going to be choosing from NutriBio, Azoth, and ProMix, and there's a couple other ones that really went out of their way, but
Hmm.
that's a quick way to just filter out, and I think that's going to be important to a lot of people. So I'm really curious to hear their feedback when it comes to that.
Fantastic. All right, man. I'll get you out of here on this. Where can people find you and learn more about Supplement Snoop? And what would be your pitch to get people to uh, check out the app?
Sure, yeah. So basically, I mean, as far as my pitch goes, I think it's a big misconception in the industry where it's so much, when you go on social media, Instagram models, and it's they're holding up products, and it's these CEOs and their cars and stuff like that. Like this Supplement Snoop was born like just I was 100% a customer, a frustrated, confused, lost customer. Even though I had some knowledge to it, it was just I mean, it came from me. And that's what people, when they get to know me, they're like, wait, I mean, this is just you. You just started this yourself. I was like, yeah, I really just believe that people need to know these things. And it started from a really genuine place. I had to work to get myself sort of into the industry. It's a hard industry to break into.
Hmm.
But we never, even, with bringing Prady on board, a big part of it was I never wanted to lose that integrity. I said, man, we're not taking any money from a company ever.
Hmm.
We're not being influenced. Like this is all about giving people the information that I feel that I wish someone had given me,
Yeah.
years ago. I wish that I had the information that I have now, and I want people to feel like when they go to search online or if they're walking into a supplement store, that they have someone going with them that's looking out for them.
Hmm.
I think if you're trying to better yourself and you're into the health industry and you're trying to make that step, whatever step that is, you shouldn't have to go it alone when it comes to this stuff. I mean, it shouldn't be this exclusive club of people that understand the science behind this. I think
Hmm.
this should be something that everyone understands. So it comes from a genuine place. It comes from a genuine place of helping. Um, it certainly doesn't come from making money. I could show you my bank statements, everyone, that I'm not. It's, I do not have a Ferrari by now or anything like that. It's just from a deep down belief of doing something right and decent in the face of, I think, an industry that needs a little bit of help. And hopefully, I inspire some companies to change and inspire some people to ask more questions and to demand better.
Hmm.
So. But as far as where you can find us, we're supplementsnoop.com. There's a really good spot right now where you can sign up for our email list where you'll be one of the first ones to try out the new app. Like I said, we're hopefully going to be doing beta testing here pretty soon. The app is available in iTunes and Google Play. I will give you a heads up. Like the next app is probably going to be like a subscription model price. So but the amount of information and the amount of value that we're going to be providing is just it's
Next
huge.
level.
I mean, yeah, it's next level. Um, so the app is just a flat fee right now. It's just mainly about the ingredients. But so Google Play, iTunes, it's there. Behind the Sups is on SoundCloud and iTunes as well. We just got approved for iTunes. Those podcasts have been going great. Um, but Instagram is what I'm most active on. We're gonna. I've been avoiding Facebook for a while, but we
I
realize
know those
it's
struggles.
oh man, but it's a necessary evil.
Yes.
We're gonna. The plans are to come up with like a private Facebook group for our subscribers that you can really go somewhere, um, and have a good forum with real people that also really believe in things. So we're really developing a lot of ways to just really get out there and I always feel like the biggest assets we have right now are Prady and I's passion for what we're doing. So we just want people to know that. Like I think once people talk to us a few times, it really changes their mindset about what we're doing. And so as much as we can get out there and just help people, I think we're just gonna keep pushing, man. I just really appreciate you having me on and giving me this platform too. It's good to meet you, and I know we have a lot in common, so it's good to be here.
Yeah, man, this has been fantastic. Thank you for being so generous with your time, and what you're doing for the industry with Supplement Snoop is fantastic. And I wish you the best of luck and the most success with everything, man.
That's awesome, man. It means a lot for me to hear that coming from someone like you that has dedicated so much of his life to it. That's the thing that sort of keeps me going, because it's like you start off with this idea, but you don't know really. Okay, I feel like it's a good thing, but when you
Yeah.
hear things like that from people like you, it's just that's why we do it. That's why we just want to keep pushing because it's got to be done. So I appreciate that.
All right, man. Well, have a good one, and we'll do this again.
All right, brother. I appreciate it a lot, man. Have a good night.
All right.